I spent years chasing my passion to become a doctor. But here's the shocking truth I wish someone had told me back then. Following your passion is actually terrible career advice. It almost ruined my life. Hey, I'm tough. I'm a software engineer, but for most of my life, medicine was the dream, or at least I thought it was. I did a biomedical sciences degree, a lot of studying, that whole idea of saving lives, making my family proud, doing something meaningful. Then I failed the medical entrance exams. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. And instead of some dramatic comeback story, I ended up in a medical lab job. I was there for 3 years, same routine, feeling completely stuck and honestly miserable. I kept thinking, this is my passion, so why does it feel so wrong? That's the part nobody prepares you for. What I didn't realize back then is this. Passion isn't something you start with. If you told the 22-year-old me who was obsessed with becoming a doctor that I would end up in a tech job and actually enjoy my work, I would have laughed. But there's a book that completely flipped how I think about careers. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. And honestly, it explains my entire messy pivot better than I ever could. So rule number one is probably the most uncomfortable one to hear. Don't follow your passion. Cal Newport calls this idea the passion hypothesis. Basically, they believe that there's this perfect calling out there for you, and once you find it, everything just clicks. And he says that idea is actually wrong. In some cases, kind of dangerous. Most people don't have some hidden passion just waiting to be discovered. When you chase one anyway, you end up anxious, constantly second guessing yourself, job hopping, wondering why you're still not fulfilled. Even the people we use as examples don't fit the story. Take Steve Jobs as an example. Everyone quotes him saying, follow your passion. But if you actually look at his life, he wasn't obsessed with computers from day one. He dropped out of college, he sat in on random calligraphy classes, traveled to India looking for meaning, did some very weird jobs, and the passion for Apple didn't come first. It showed up after years of experimenting and grinding. That's why Newport says passion usually follows mastery, not the other way around. And when you try to force passion early, you can really mess with your head. There's this story in the book about a guy called Thomas. He quit his corporate job to become a Zen monk because he thought enlightenment was his passion. But instead of peace, he got isolation, financial stress, and a lot of doubt. The real danger is this. When the spark doesn't show up, you start thinking you're the problem. Like, why isn't this working for me? What's wrong with me? That's when the craftsman mindset comes in. Instead of asking, what does this job give me? You ask, what value am I building? And that shift, that's what saved me. After the lab, I could have stayed on that safe path. I could have become a qualified biomedical scientist. I could have got stable pay, a decent title, but nothing about the future excited me. So I decided to go back to square one. I did a computer science master's, learned to code from absolute scratch. It was brutal. I had the imposter syndrome every day, staring at coding error messages for hours, constantly thinking I'm never going to catch up. But once I stopped chasing passion and started treating it like practice, like a skill I was building, everything changed. Not overnight, but slowly it started to click. Rule number two is where things actually start to change. Be so good they can't ignore you. This is where Newport introduces the idea of career capital. Basically, the best jobs, the ones with impact, creativity, flexibility, they're rare. And the only way you get access to them is by having rare skills to trade. So instead of asking, what do I want for my career? You flip it to, what am I actually getting good at? When I look at my own path, it makes sense now. Biomedical degree, then the lab years, pretty flat. I wasn't growing. Then I switched to computer science, started coding, and suddenly the curve went up. Not because I found my passion, but because I was finally building something valuable. Newport backs this up with research from Anders Ericsson, the guy who studied how people actually become great at things. His conclusion, it's not talent, it's not motivation, it's deliberate practice. Not just repeating the same thing, but pushing yourself into that uncomfortable zone, getting feedback, stretching just beyond what you can do. Most people plateau because they get good enough and stop there. But the people who stand out, they keep pushing. Another example from the book is by a guitarist, Jordan Tiss. He didn't wake up one day magically passionate. He obsessed over tiny details, practiced the same riffs over and over, got feedback from people better than him. It wasn't glamorous, but that's how he became elite. In tech, this looks like mastering things most people avoid. So topics like system design, coding efficiently, really understanding your stack, solving problems at scale. For me, debugging used to feel painful, like I was just bad at this. And now it's still challenging, but it's kind of satisfying because I know I can figure things out. And that shift from I'm stuck and miserable to I can actually build useful things, that's career capital in action. And it compounds as well. Once you're valuable, opportunities start coming to you. If you want something practical, here's where I would start. Pick one skill in your current role, just one. Make the next thing you build about 20% harder than the last. Get feedback, so code reviews, mentors, even online communities. Track your progress week by week and be patient. I didn't feel confident or in the zone for months, but once momentum kicked in, it carried me forward. This is the part nobody posts about, but it's the part that actually changes your life. Once you've built some real skill, this is where rule number 3 comes in. And it sounds a bit weird at first. Sometimes the right move is to turn down a promotion. What you're really chasing isn't the title, it's control. Control over what you work on, control over your time, sometimes even where you work from. That stuff matters way more than people realize. It's like rocket fuel for actually enjoying your work. But, and this is important, there are traps. The first one is going after freedom way too early. There's a story in the book about a screenwriter. She quit her job because she wanted freedom. On paper, it sounded brave. In reality, she didn't have the skills yet. So what did she get instead of freedom? Rejection, stress, doubt, and eventually panic. Control without skill just turns into anxiety. The second trap is more subtle. Once you do become valuable, employers suddenly don't want to let you go. That's when the promotions show up. The raises, the shiny titles. Cal Newport calls these the golden handcuffs. And this is the hard part. Sometimes you need the courage to say no. There's a simple rule Newport gives here, the law of financial viability. Before you chase control, ask, are people already willing to pay for my skills? That could be freelance work, a side project making money, someone consistently asking for your help. If the answer is yes, you're probably ready to lean in. For me, control looks pretty simple. It means protecting time with family and friends, not living in constant overtime, being able to choose work that actually helps people. And tech gives me that flexibility. And now I get to mentor, share stories like these, and help others feel less lost. Without skills, I'd still be stuck. And with them, I get to choose. The last rule is about mission. And this is where everything starts to come together. Newport calls it think small and act big. A mission gives your work direction. It's what turns I'm good at this into this actually matters to me. But here's the part people skip. You can't force a mission early. Big visions don't survive without skills underneath them. You need capital first. There's a great example in the book from a Harvard geneticist. She didn't start with some huge world-saving plan. She built deep skills in biology and computation. And once she had that foundation, a mission naturally emerged, using genomics to find disease. She didn't leap into it. She grew into it right at the edge of what she was already good at. That's how missions actually form. Not through some dramatic aha moment, but through little bets, small experiments, low pressure. You try things, you see what sticks, learn as you go. For me, my mission is still forming. It's around using tech to help people feel less lost in their careers, their direction, even their relationships. And this video, a little bit. Mentoring conversations, sharing stories, maybe one day building something bigger. You don't start with the destination. You start with the movement. And yeah, marketing matters as well. Seth Godin talks about this idea of being remarkable. If something is safe and useful, it usually gets ignored. But if it's useful and a little different, people share it. That's how small bets turn into something real. So here's my story in simple terms. I chased passion into medicine, spent years in a medical lab feeling empty and behind. Then I stopped chasing my passion and started building skills, and I learned to code from zero. I struggled through imposter syndrome, said no to the safe path, and now I'm still learning, but I'm building things that matter, protecting time with people I love and helping others navigate their own pivots. If you're stuck right now or in the middle of a pivot, drop a comment. What's one skill you're deliberately working on? If this resonated with you, please like it, subscribe, or share it with someone who's quietly struggling. Thanks for watching. Go invest in your skills. You really want to regret it.